Hello, homies, one and all. Welcome to Group B. This one is Plan for Payback, and it is, of course, of the an undercard here in March Invitational 2025. I'm here with Neblime. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing excellent. It's a perfect day for some Starcraft.
That's right, that's right. And so this is StarCraft that looks a little bit funky for most people who don't know about it, but at this point more and more people are finding out about it, and we have had ourselves a tournament where we had many levels of play. These replays that we're about to cast are of Group B's undercard, as previously mentioned. SmrtyCakes, Kenoli, and Grass Eater will be on the cards for us to cast, and our first matchup is SmrtyCakes versus Kenoli on Apollo. It must be said, right? Smarty versus Kenoli is kind of a storied matchup. And if you guys don't want to know the history behind the players or whatever, you can just skip ahead a little bit to that first time code. But I do want to take a moment to analyze this overall field of play, because if you remember, Neblime, Smarty versus Kenoli was that deciding best of 5 at the last chance to qualify to the Battlement stage of Acropolis #2. And not only did Kenoli defeat Smarty, and it was a 3-0, he also went on to almost hit him up in a ZVZ in Battlements, and then overcome Gerald Storm, who everybody thought was a better player in the Z Mirror, and then obviously got his way into the Throne Room stage. He didn't get farther than that, but that is already a pretty significant and stark move. A lot of people thought he was just this upset merchant that came in all the time. So it'll be interesting to check in with him, see how he's doing, see how Smarty is doing since then, and whether or not payback can indeed be planned for, or if Kenoli's just going to keep stuffing him. I don't know.
Yeah, it was definitely a dream run for Kenoli. His first run at Acropolis was pretty hype, but
Yes.
also Grass Eater is definitely a player who's sort of coming up, he's lurking there on the periphery. We don't know what he's capable of yet. We haven't tested his limits, so excited to see that. And yeah, I gotta say, SmrtyCakes, it was like, well, no, not to knock on Kenoli. Obviously he did really well to knock him out, but it was surprising not to see SmrtyCakes get to battlements. Because I don't think he's one of those players who's pretty strong, can do that. So yeah, this is a pretty intense group for the undercard, man.
Yeah, and I don't think this spoils much, although it might be something that we could try to keep track of as far as the narrative goes. But after the groups were played, I did catch wind of SmrtyCakes talking in one of the chat channels where he said that when he's in tournaments, he throws out his macro a lot of the times and he just starts being cheesy. So I don't know, like he was commenting on it as if that's something that he wants to try to improve on later, or maybe that's like normally he plays more macro focused in these practice games, but the tournament comes and he's like, fuck it, I gotta cheese, I gotta do something. My hands are telling me to do something weird, and so that might end up happening here as our first round here on Apollo kicks off. So with all that said, obviously you did touch on Grass Eater a little bit. Of course, he joins the Shambler for someone that I sometimes root against for reasons that are not at all related to playstyle and entirely related to antics. Although I think Grass Eaters are becoming a little bit more annoying with these constant changing IDs. His ID technically isn't even Grass Eater, but I've given up trying to figure out what the fuck he wants to be called because he changes his ID all the time. So he's Grass Eater now, and that's how he will remain. But in taking my personal bias away from it, I do think that Grass Eater has been learning the game. It kind of acts as a gatekeeper for class 3s. If you want to be a class 3 player and you're currently a class 4 player, or if you're just a new player and you end up starting to regularly beat Grass Eater, I think at that point it's pretty safe to say, unless he's playing a weird style where he's logging in on multiple PCs or whatever the fuck he does, then probably you're in a good spot and you can win. So this is more of a test of the other of Grass Eater versus the other players. However, I guess if Grass Eater does take games off of these, it would be him passing that test, but also potentially saying, hey, you guys, you guys gotta, I'm reasserting your class 3 cred. You're not fit for the class 2 promotion if you lose to me. That kind of style. That's sort of where I place him in the pantheon right now.
Yeah, definitely.
With all that said, shall we get started here on Apollo?
We shall.
So, Neblime, I am expecting in this PVZ matchup on Apollo here that we should see. Oh, look at that. He's even got a little winky face in his name. I wonder what that's an allusion to. We should see SmrtyCakes and Kenoli have a great manner match. They started, cheering each other on when they played an FFA on Weekend War and Shambler Allied, and that was somebody saying that that was not allowed. So anyway, SmrtyCakes is our I think this is Forest Green. Yes, Forest Green Protoss in the bottom right, and Kenoli, as always, the Pumpkin Zerg in the top left.
Oh, look at that. He's going for that Lavos. What can I say? What is the early scout from Smarty? Already there's stuff happening.
Lattice
I
up
guess
and no gas mining.
Yeah, he's doing this 8 lattice. I think it makes sense. I guess you want to see what exactly your opponent's making, what kind of pressure you're going to put on. I'm sure, as you're aware, that I'd rather do the fastest possible lattice rush if you're going to do this. But if you're going double Lavos, which Kenoli is not, luckily for him, it wouldn't really matter, I suppose. If it's 6 or 8, you still get good damage here. But yeah, I think Kenoli's going to be fine. I don't think anything's going to really happen here. But SmrtyCakes going to have all the info.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I haven't really seen how much Kenoli has been able to grind. He did start playing a little bit more frequently after the tournament was announced. But he's also just one of those players that, like, if he doesn't play hundreds of games in the warm-up to a particular event, I'm not sure that he doesn't necessarily have the ability, the luxury, to sort of rely on a baseline level of mechanics. And the game has changed since Acropolis 2. Obviously, we've had a lot of balance adjustments, and, you know, things like the lattice are pretty different now, just in terms of the fact that you can get it for less Vespine cost. It opens it up as a bit of an earlier specialization. Idols are a bit different. Simulacrum's got a new model from Delta Catamus. You know, all those cool things. So,
well, he sees the sim already. There's some truth to that quotable thing Hit said. You know, what was it? Form is temporary, class is permanent. But I do think what decides matches is preparation. If you really study your opponent, or even just the game in general, and you've prepared specific builds and that kind of thing, you have an enormous advantage. Now, we don't know how seriously these players are taking this, one-off event. Of course, it's fair enough. Yeah. They're just kind of messing around, but I don't know. I like what I'm seeing from SmrtyCakes. Pretty. Well, I like it a lot. Is what I'm trying to say. So far, he seems to have a pretty good plan in mind. His sim's going to come up here, and it's not going to get much done, but it's putting some pressure. Oh, don't lose it. I'm not sure why he moved back in there.
A little bit of a mechanical fluff, but he's getting a couple of sims, and he might be at the very least able to clear these Zeths. Indeed, looks like it.
Now tell me, did they always add themselves to the hotkey when they divide, or is that relatively new? I thought they didn't used to do that.
Not the control group, but the selection. Yeah, they will. If you select one and it turns into 2, you will inherit the selection. Doesn't add it to the control group. So.
It does add to the control group now. I promise.
Oh, it does?
Yeah. But not the selection, maybe? Well, maybe it does add to the selection. I know. I generally tend to not have them selected when they divide.
It's funny because I saw Arbuz struggle to keep his clones, like he had to reselect the whole thing to keep his clones there, and I thought he was just adding it to the control group because it didn't add it to there. Anyway, that's a subtle note, but maybe there has been a tweak for that I didn't do.
Yeah, I'm not sure
intentionally. So.
Well, my assessment so far is he didn't really get as much done as he wanted to with those. But Kenoli going for a pretty fast expansion here, not really drawing up too hard. He's going to get the Templars. But you got to be a bit careful if your army is 30% Cantus. What am I saying? Cantavis. Cantus. We need the fusion unit.
That's a new unit. Yeah.
Oh my god! Imagine that. If it's 30% Cantavis, it's too easy for them to get sniped. I like these poking into scout with the sim. By the way, it's good to use those quote unquote free units for that kind of purpose. Your opponent can sort of run around and snipe them. Well, he has one Amaranth. He's gonna get a Golem as well. I'm just seeing this and I'm like, well, if Zerg just kind of runs all over him, I don't think Storm's going to help. Let's see.
It does feel overall that the way that Kenoli is approaching this is to get himself some nice tech, get himself into a nice position. He's sacrificing that economic backbone that Zergs often go for early so that he can approach with a more aggressive army and maybe force more defensive maneuvers from the Protoss. Whether this is a play to the victory condition, or if Kenoli is just trying to leverage his position into something a little bit more comfortable in the mid-game, that remains to be seen. But he is coming in here having Vorved up. He's pushed the V key. SmrtyCakes was famous for not being happy with that. He's caught slipping. Where's the storm? Cantavis not working out right now. Let's see. There's the order.
Well, I mean, it is just Cosmos left now, actually, so it'll serve him fine, I think, just to have the storms, because they'll have a very hard time getting in here. Yeah, huge loss for Kenoli. He killed 2 sims, and that's it.
Yeah, that did. Even though there was almost no micro from Smarty, he was still able to hold that, maybe showing that this is a Grand Library army with the Amaranths, and of course the Golem was there as well.
Amaranth,
This
course,
is not a
good,
gateway army, right? This is not something that Zeth Vorv is going to do a bunch of numbers on. So whatever comfort Kenoli was looking for, I don't think he really got. He went through 1 or 2 rotations of workers, but he doesn't really have the ability to do much else. Now, he does stand his Quas back. It's clear he wants to be at least aware of when Smarty is moving out, and Smarty is investing in static defense, including a Bulwark at that natural, so gonna be a little bit before he moves out. Obviously delaying any additional tech because he wants to invest in that static D. Kenoli garrisoning 6 o'clock, and looks like he'll just hang out by the bridge. And the other thing that I'm noticing here is a lot of Zergs are favoring the Hydralisk, right? They are definitely picking that up more often, and sometimes I think this is a more subtle thing that a lot of aspiring Zergs should probably play around with, is having a number of Hydras and then also having a number of Bactylisks. If you're going to go back, which we don't know yet because Kenoli hasn't done the morph, it's one of those things that you probably want to at least keep a couple of Hydras in there for, sort of mid-range damage. And they can't really be your front line, especially versus Protoss Splash, but they can definitely pack a punch versus the armor in a way that the Bactylisk simply can't.
Yeah, it's definitely very exploitable if it's pure backed. I do want to say, with that engagement there, where SmrtyCakes wasn't really looking at first, you do got to have given credit for very deliberately arranging his units ahead of time. Though.
Yes. Yep.
They were in position to save himself having to actually react in time.
So yeah, it's just, if Kenoli was a bit more on the ball, it feels like he could have maybe weaseled in and sniped some of the Cantavis, right? Or maybe even just gone past the army and into the main base to get a little bit more disruption. There is a Warden in the mineral line, and Smarty is moving out as he adds 2 rogue galleries. He's been making a lot of Atriuses. He's also filtering in a Witness, which is always good. Going to get 1 free sim there, and the Quads are going to come on back to see what's going on in the natural.
I love the map vision from Kenoli, but I gotta say, I feel like he is not ramping his production how he needs to. I think he sort of fooled himself with Hydras. Oh, well, this is a scout with those pods. We're gonna see what's up.
He's gonna see 4 idle scribes and think, the noob.
Got him. Although he has less workers than Protoss, which isn't good. What I was saying, I think he sort of fooled himself by making Hydras that he had enough production because they're more expensive, but really, I would love to see him on like 7 or 8 production structures now. Now he's gonna have a hard time fighting back here. This Protoss army, quite frankly, is just superior. The Khazitra is going to be impossible to get past, though. But he can just siege him with these storms here. Here we go.
Yeah, he's going to try to weasel his way around that little spoke there, and it's kind of working out. The storms come out, blanketing the Zerg army, forcing a retreat. Okay, the front line a little bit worrisome here for Smarty. He's only got, the Golem and the Amaranth, both bruised from the Hydra shellacking, and the Skibact is about to finish inside the main base for the Zerg. This does feel like the aggression is on a bit of a timer. As much as I talked about Hydras being useful versus the armor, the Cantavis can't stand up to the Bactylisk count if they get bounced on or, God forbid, targeted deliberately. At that point, the Bactylisks will basically just snipe them. But Smarty is taking a 3rd base behind this.
Yeah, Bactylisk definitely is sort of like an answer to Cantavis, and also it's quite difficult to storm them down because they have a good amount of HP. You can't just quickly sort of delete them. Also, a lot of Aziricores to run on top. So yeah, I would like to see him fall back. But it's tricky here for SmrtyCakes, because he knows if he falls back, he doesn't want to get in a situation where like Zerg suddenly shows up and is attacking into his army. It can be very dangerous too. Oh god. This Khazitra actually going to still work even from this range, making it really dangerous. All those Heralds getting in there, he's going to commit.
Oh, I don't think this is a good idea. Yeah, remember the 6 Skithricores coming in as well, so if his army gets wiped, the worker line's going to be following it soon. The Aziricore's just going to run forward. They surround everything, Neblime, and even though there's Kabbalists in the back, I don't think that's going to be enough to help him. Smarty's army is getting wiped. Yeah.
Yeah. He might just be dead, dude. I don't see how he's going to survive when this army arrives across the map. The Kabbalists, wait, they could still just run in, but they're fleeing. Cowards.
Yeah, they're supposed to be assassins. What's going on with them? The Cantavis getting caught. They throw in a token storm. That's not going to be enough. And, he's barely saturated his 3rd base. He's only got 1 Warden and 1 Bulwark.
Yeah, and 1 Quad. It's just sitting there to kill those scribes. Oh, but the Bulwark.
Yeah, it's helping.
Okay,
it's great.
You can get it. Just slowly. Oh, there you go.
Oh, man. For the hold, if he had Cantavis still, 2 more are about to pop out. That might be his lifeline here, because the Engram will try to defend as much as it can, but he needs to get on top of this army.
Yeah, the Engram has the Bulwark. I mean, this is possible, but... Oh, man, those Kabbalists not going to do it. This does look pretty dicey. Oh, but he's getting in there, taking, like, the maximum damage he can from the Engram.
Oh,
nice
good storm
from the high ground. Oh, that's a really great storm. It's doing a lot of damage to those Backless. If they all pop,
they all regress, popping at the same time. Wow, that was like 6 backs going down. The hold's still good. Remember, the third base hasn't actually been canceled. Only one worker heckled. But there's the skits we were talking about. Yep.
Man, I think he could have just like stayed there on the what do you call it? Matrix. He would have taken a bit less damage here.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Oh, do you really want to hallucinate there? I guess it looked at this time. But,
that is spooky. He didn't want to storm, so he's going to do the other thing. You know, even though he says no indicators, actually even on the workers right now. So Smarty, it looks dire, but his eco is not actually that bad compared to his opponent. Just needs to be able to get the hold going. He's got quad Grand Library. That's fodder for a lovely Crucible if I've ever seen one.
Would love to see more Amaranth and Heralds, I think, would be very good against this, specifically against Backlist. Then again, there's a lot of Azera cores, so it's tough. What are you going to do here?
He's running in. He's doing the dumb move where you just run straight past everything, and you know what? It's pretty smart right now. Cakes losing a little bit of life. His worker count dropping. The storms have been pretty good for him.
Storms. He moved them both directions, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think he's just going to get overwhelmed here.
Yeah, that seems like it was a wrap. I think he got a little bit too caught up trying to re-micro some of his stuff, and he has been pushed back. Ooh, nice. It's ill-fated. Yeah, he's trying to do as much value as he can with the spellcasters, but I don't know. The Cantavis, GG comes out, and Smarty, he has been routed. It is a Kenoli victory.
Yes, Kenoli still got it. It was no fluke, my friends.
It was no fluke. Yeah, that's not the... this is kind of like the bad ending if you're a Smarty fan, if you're a fan of Protoss, because they are such an endangered species. And, you know, Smarty's also been trying so hard to get his style going that it does feel a little bit rough for him. But we do have a ZVZ coming up. Grass Eater will take to the center stage and see how much damage he can do versus Kenoli, who was famed for his Z Mirror. So this is going to be a real tough fight. And then, of course, Smarty will play the winner. So, any last-minute analysis of that particular first match? Because it feels like Smarty just let it get away from him a little bit, and he didn't fall back when he needed to on the front gate.
If he kept making golems from his lattice, would it have been strong? Because clearly he was planning to make a lot of Cantavis, and this sort of showed that it's difficult to just have a lot of Cantavis. You'd think, like, oh, you can just storm everything, but we saw Kenoli, like, when he has enough, he just sort of runs in. You can't really hold it off with storms. But say he had, like, a whole bunch of golems, and he just storms on top of them, it becomes kind of impossible for Zerg to do anything about.
Lots of good thoughts there. We'll definitely be revisiting that matchup. Let's get into game 2. We are getting straight in to none other than Frosted Forest, a map that was by popular demand brought in to see what's going on. And we have Kenoli as the Pumpkin Zerg in the bottom left, and Grass Eater in the top right seems to be Smoky Black? Jet Black Zerg in the top right. So pay no heed to the fact that his name is a different color. He's doing stupid trickery to make his name colored. You know, that's his latest invention, is he'll just make his name obnoxious instead of you not knowing it's him.
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll see what he's bringing, you know. I haven't really seen his play very much. I'm just looking. I've got, like, a bug. I don't know if it's the same for you. Oh, he put the color on his name.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Yeah, of course.
You can tell because if you click his unit, it'll say the color.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Well, that's spicy, I guess. Goodbye, SmrtyCakes. He's gone.
He's gone. He went to go watch the replay. He's gonna go practice up versus hit him up real quick. You know, it'll be fine.
Oh no, the plan. Watch out, Kenoli. He's gonna come back 10 times stronger.
No kidding. Yeah. Just comes back and doesn't drop a single map left over. So Grass is gone. 4 Larva's gonna pool. Looks like Kenoli doing the same thing, if a bit slower. And I've noticed that Kenoli likes to creep his structures, including the ones that don't generate Kegra, towards the natural. Like, he's put his pool in front of his Larvask each time now in both games. I wonder what the thought process is. Is like, maybe he's trying to give his opponent more targets, you know, going in.
You got to imagine, I suppose, what kind of battle you're going to be in. The pool is pretty tanky. If it was like a 6 pool, you're going to regret this for sure. But if it's like a bit later, a bunch of quads are coming in, you know, you can use the pool to tank. I don't know. It is interesting that you make sense to put the K-grids like that, but the pool, it's not what you see normally, is it?
Yes, yeah.
Grass Eater's saving his lava a bit here. Is he going to go with a whole bunch of Zephyrs? If so, I don't think he's really getting anything done here, as long as Kenoli makes the quads. And Kenoli also saving his lava, has a lot more money. Well, let's see what he makes.
Yeah,
Okay,
one
he's gonna
pair of
make a mix.
quads, two pairs of quads. I think he's just using all of his first round's larva on the necessary military tools to continue his conquest. He's also got enough gas for that second Larvosk, and he's
Yeah.
actually outpacing Kenoli on that front, but the worker difference is going to start eating away if he's not careful.
Yeah,
Does
but
that's immediately leave?
with these quads units, I think it's actually he's actually more efficient overall. Because he will be able to catch up on the workers with more larva production and put the pressure with more units. So I like Grass Eaters opening a little more. Now, we've got the Overleft coming out. What is the plan of that, I wonder? I was just saying to Jack, like, the art of the quads drop seems to be lost. Remember when, like, every game, Zerg would drop 6 quads in the mineral line? It seemed good. Alright, some scouting Zefs get picked off, unfortunately. Well, you know, this isn't like Brood Wars EVZ. In Brood Wars EVZ, it's like, holy crap, he lost 2 Zerglings, it's over.
Yeah.
In this, they are still kind of trash. As soon as quads are out, they are still kind of a throwaway unit in Zobra. So, and so much more production is going to come up with these Larvos as well. It's not a huge deal, but I still think it's a little sloppy.
I think you can still use them for vision and map control and such, yeah, so.
He should not have showed that overleft. That's a huge error, in my opinion. Because he could have showed up with 6 quads and Kenoli wouldn't have known. Now, let's see if Kenoli really thinks that's going to happen. Or if even Grassy thinks that's going to happen. Maybe he just wants to scout.
I think that's exactly what he does. And, as soon as the Ovileth is sighted, it feels like Kenoli just falls back immediately. Goes for 8 pairs of Zeths.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, could a run by come down? Once Grassy leaves his base, like 16 Zeths will just like kill your entire base pretty fast. But if it's a straight up fight, they're going to be pretty poor. Now, it is looking like Grass Eater wants to go straight for Hydra. He does not want to make more quads. Now, I don't think Zefs are amazing first, but it's much better than if it was all quads, that's for sure.
I do think that with the Hydra Den coming up for both players, it kind of shows where they're at in the matchup. They both believe that Hydras are a good follow-through, and they're both going to be doing pretty much that. Although Iziracors would absolutely slap Kenoli's army.
Yeah. As we've seen now in some of these other group matches, they're pretty good in Zerg. Now, here's the thing, the quads are going to do the best they can, but they have to fall back, but they can't because the Hydra's not quite ready. Here they come. Oh, he's taking out a lot of those quads, actually.
Yeah. Well, he's going to survive with 2 more, and the Zets will fall back. Looks like they didn't quite get what they wanted. Each pair of Zets is only 25 minerals. Here comes the anti-drop squad here. It's actually going to push it into the rest of the base, and now it's going to fly back over. That's a dead Ovileth. Good picks there, catching grass slipping.
Yeah, nice move there to push that back in, but I got to say, Kenoli hit 1,000 minerals there while he was distracted.
Yes.
That as well. So unfortunately, he's really not keeping up. Whereas Grassy, I think, has managed to just make more stuff. He's getting the Hatcherosk up at the natural. I mean, he's finished for Kenoli, but it is 1 extra production structure compared to what Grassy has. Sorry, compared to what Kenoli has. So I don't know. I feel like Grass Eater is actually macroing a little better. Again, even though it looks worse at first, because like, he had a lower work count and like his expansions later, he's actually doing better because he's actually considering like how much production you have and stuff. Although we really need to morph that Larvosk over there.
Yeah, no kidding. As soon as he gets the gas here, he's waiting on it.
He's spamming the button. Look, he has selected. He's hitting that button.
Yeah. When somebody's APM drops to 0 while they're selecting something, I just know they're waiting for money.
Yeah, that's not good, Starcraft. We're going to criticize that, but at least he knows he needs it.
Yeah, that's the right idea. So he's basically saturating the natural expand here. And we do have another K-Grid coming at the natural for Kenoli. Kind of reminds me of Luai's play. Too bad that Luai couldn't join us for this tournament, because it would have been cool to see his Zerg. Yeah, maybe for the next one. So, yep, we do have the circuits coming up here. It's actually going to be in some number as Kenoli goes for the ski-backed. But instead of that, Grass Eater going the Zork is. He's put his tech in a nice little line there. Very decidedly not Zergy, right? You think of them more as a chaotic sort of eclectic mix.
Sniped by skiffs, 30 skiffs come in.
Yeah.
Obviously, with 30 skiffs are in your base, you're probably not worried about the layout of your tech.
I don't know if that would be the most dangerous target,
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think Lakizalis will just be better than Backlist, but it's very gas intensive, so theoretically, Kenoli could be sitting back and taking tier 2, taking 3rd base or whatever. Interesting, the Cassandra, by the way, as well. Now, does he have time for all that? I mean, I think this defense is fine for Grassy. He looks pretty well set up. He's going to step forward of these K-Grants, although I think he senses he's a superior army and can only has to scatter. But yeah, he must be going for Lakizalis, I assume. But he could also just come out with some Zoyus to back up whatever else he has. All right, here we go. The engagement's going to come in again. The Constant's going to add a lot more DPS for Kenoli, but he still just doesn't have quite enough.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like he can really secure the advantage with a good concave or anything. He needs to almost like attack from the west and the south at the same time, kind of uppercut him. Another Oveleth Scout has been dispatched. A little expensive for Grass to lose a second one, potentially, but we'll see. It will spot the Khaz'it, of course.
No Bactylus yet, or Skiffs. You know, it would be good for Grass Eater to spot that and be able to anticipate if Skiffs are coming, right? Because at the moment, he doesn't really have any defenses. There's a bunch of Quas in the main, at least. But say, you need like a Spray plus a few Quas, I think, is the best defense.
You know, Kenoli just mutated 5 of them, and he was like 1 minute of gas mining away as he capped his ridges from getting tier 2. So that's just the level of float he's been having right now, and I don't think it was intentional. I don't think it was intentional.
I was looking at the UI and being like, that looks like a 5. Actually, it's 9 back to the
Oh, it is, yeah.
Commitment. Yeah. So he doesn't actually have any hydras left. It's all back to, which I don't know. Once the Zero Cores are dealt with, can Grass Eater just kind of like stutter step in? He's going for that third base. Again, I'd love to see the Lakizalisk. I think would be really good when you're expanding like this. Now, there is a bunch of skiffs being made.
Yep, now he's going for it.
Try and do everything, but the Overlord might even spot them. If he selects these eggs, he's going to have all the warning he needs. Does he select them? I don't think he's selecting them.
I can't tell. No, it doesn't look like he's still moving his Oveleth instead.
He's going to see Skiback, though. Still, I feel like someone needs to like coach him and say like, anytime your Overlord is flying in there, select anything that's morphing. Oh, he sees him anyway.
He sees them pop. Yeah, so now he knows, okay, need some anti-air, need to put my Hydras in right spots. So immediately puts down 2 Kagrants in great spots in the natural. 1, now going to be 2 in the main. He's got Quas already garrisoning the main, because he's got his Hydras ready to go in case the attack comes into the Nat. So very well defended here. The only thing that's in question is whether the Skits will go after that third base and force the army rotation.
Yeah, that could definitely be a play with Backless coming up right along the side. Although, as long as Grass Eater pushes forward and holds this high ground, a couple of Zoryus is well going to help a lot. I think Backless are pretty bad against Zoryus, so that could be a big deal. And yeah, I think Kenoli realizes and pushes back. He tries to dive in, gets some draw left. It's actually not bad for Kenoli at all, because he only lost a few skiffs and he got quite a few draw lifts there. So I think if he trades them out, he's looking okay, but he does need a third base of his own like yesterday.
Well, it's a little bit worse than that, I think, Neblime, because even though he's killing a lot of workers, he's also going to be losing most of those skiths to the anti-air defenses, and the Hydras have been in hot pursuit, killing, regressing Bactylisks, you know, getting a lot of these units cleared out as Grass Eater tries to munch on them. The problem is there's reinforcements from Kenoli, and a lot of them come in the form of those Izira cores. They're very tanky lads, and there's not really much of a front line left for Grass. He's got 15 Hydras in production. He needs to fall back and use them. Thankfully, the Zoryus spawning those brood spawn, get the ensnare on that army, preventing a chase. But economically speaking, he spent 15 larvae on combat units, and now he's down by, you know, about, 22 Droleth. So definitely a bit of a rough position for him. You know, Kenoli's floating a ton of money, but he can put down tier 2 anytime he wants.
Well, Kenoli's done much better making workers, right? Even before they got killed, he was actually ahead. And now, you know, obviously having eliminated some, but he has way less lava production. So you can see him really struggling with this back. Now he realized that now he's throwing down 4 more, 2 Hatcheros, 2 Lavas. So he will get getting back on track. And, you know, this is sort of an interesting theoretical game. Demonstrating, you know, the key pillars of StarCraft. First thing, make workers. Second thing, spend the money. And the reason it goes in that order is we're seeing right now. Even though Kenoli was in a bit of a dicey situation, now he survived. I feel like he's in a pretty much insurmountable lead as long as he doesn't let this third just completely saturate without doing anything. Which, you know, Grass Eater is catching up. I feel like Kenoli does need to go and attack soonish.
Yeah, the third base was already scouted by the Skiths that flew over. The anti-air defenses are in a right position now for Grass Eater. When the Skits flew over, those spraits weren't quite finished, and so he had to just fly over a small amount of Quas. That's since been strengthened as well. A nice little garrison there. Yeah, I mean, it gets to the point where maybe Kenoli is just going to build an army that Grass Eater simply cannot fight against, and have that be the pièce de résistance.
Great way to get the mineral bank down when he's worried about that. They do pretty well. They do pretty well. They just run in and they do a good damage and tank because they're compelled to run in short range. Now, backlist of Grass Eater's own coming up. He's setting up the static defense at the third. You know, I think that's a good move, knowing that his was faster. He sees the enemy on with his overlap. I mean, he's getting better in the worker count, right? He's slightly ahead now, so he's sort of stabilized, but his army is clearly inferior. If Kenoli can attack in this window.
Well, he also, look at that, running in right past the army that's morphing.
Oh, no.
And the workers weren't even mining for most of this time. He's going to need to do something about that. His army, a little bit lackadaisical coming on through. There's the retreat with the workers. He only ends up losing 1. Pretty good there. And now the burrow just to force more annoyance. Well, stalling him out.
Yeah, his own army's coming across and he's pulling him into this committed position. If he runs in and claims the high ground, which I guess he's sort of doing the Zero Cores, not really. They're sort of the skirmishers taking the outpost, whereas main army can come in. And now they're sort of almost fighting on even ground. I think he's going to take him out. There's so many backlists morphing for the Grass Eater, but there's no time. The main army getting decimated.
Yeah, he's got 17 of them. Imagine if those were Hydras on the defense. Maybe he could have done something, but as it stands, he has to fall back to the circuits at his third base, and so many of those Basilisks get absolutely wiped off the face of the earth. Now he'll try to defend. He can have reinforcements coming in from the natural choke, but I don't know if he's got enough. There's just so many Basilisks. Kenoli up to 20 right now. He's absolutely caving him in, and look at that, the Unburrow Iziricors, they weren't cleared out. The trap that just finishes it off. The guillotine has come down. There will be no grass to eat today.
Nice play by Kenoli there. Those Iziricors running in, man. It seems to be a thing in ZVZ now. We saw Dynaman do it to great effect. GG.
GG indeed. Kenoli will go up to a 2-0 start in the group. That is actually very impressive. Not to say that I thought he wouldn't do it necessarily, but that game looked a lot more even than maybe I thought. Like, I got to give Grass credit for keeping it pretty consistent overall. But yeah, as of right now, looking pretty good, Kenoli. Can Smarty topple him? And then what does the PVZ for Grass Eater look like if that happens? So these are some of the questions that I have as we get ready for Game 3. Were you? How did you feel about Grass Eater's play? Like, you give him some praise for the macro that he was doing. It does seem like he's doing pretty well, all things considered.
Oh yeah, I would say he had a way better build and better mechanics as far as the macro went. But his utilization of his units, I think, was subpar.
Yeah, that might be a fair thing to say.
And I should add, actually, the main issue he had, I think, is he didn't really realize how many workers he needed until he got sort of wiped a bit by skiffs. Then he really made them.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because obviously one of the things you would look at for that is, you know, how frequent was he scouting? He scouted his opponent a lot more than Kenoli scouted Grass, right? Kenoli was basically scouted by attacking. Potentially valid strategy, but I think that if Grass had capitalized upon that a bit more, he would have 100% been in a nice spot to make that happen. So that's sort of my take.
On that note, something I noticed, Kenoli was like in his opponent's face with his army like the whole game. Like, he was either retreating because his army was getting beaten, or his army was like right there threatening to attack. So I don't know, he was able to put the pressure on, and his macro probably suffered because of that. But in the end, he was able to make it work anyway because he was getting a lot of value from putting that pressure on.
Yep, agreed on that. Well, we've got another game, of course. We're going to play at least 6 here, probably more than that, judging by the complexion. But Kenoli could go 4-0. To do that, he'll need to beat SmrtyCakes in the rematch. Let's see what's up. It's time to play on Near Impact, says SmrtyCakes. Jujic was the admin, so pretty sure that was flattery. Kenoli is going to be in the bottom right as our Pumpkin Zerg, but SmrtyCakes, the challenger, the man who's already down 0-1 in this internal BO3 between them all, he's in the top left, and I think this is Alice Blue. There it is, Alice Blue Protoss. So besides the color versus the color of grass in that last game, where I was clearly set up to fail by the name being the wrong color, so I couldn't guess it properly. I've had 100% color guess accuracy. Neblime, what do you think about that?
I mean, I've seen you make mistakes before. You're not perfect. You're not a god.
I don't know. I think Cosmonarchy is fair and balanced. Yeah, let's ask Pingo Collator, yeah. Dude, that guy, I really thought it was amazing that he said that and then almost beat you with this Maverick push.
Dude, yeah, he is a threat. He comes back, and he actually did take a game, didn't he? I don't remember now.
Not versus you.
That's right.
No,
there was one really close one. That's right. But yeah, he's always been a strong player, man. I just wish he could play more.
Yep, I agree. He keeps wanting to. He's like, Pr0nogo, I want to be a top class player. How I do that? I'm like, well, you got to play more. And he's like, okay, big claw emoji, and then that's then I don't see him play. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I see Smarty play a lot though, and he's actually going for double gate instead of that lattice shenanigans.
Yeah, I like it. It's pretty robust. It depends what your opponent's doing. I feel like if your opponent goes Hydra first, you're not very pleased with yourself having gone double gate, because things like Zealot Ecclesiast aren't going to scale as well versus Hydralisk. But it is a quas pool, so I think this opens up all the options for Smarty. What I don't like is making an Ecclesiast first. You know, on paper, it kind of makes sense if you're like, well, I want to attack with Zealot Ecclesiast, so let me build that up from the get-go. Sure. But the problem you have is you can't safely go onto the map with Zealot Ecclesiast. You need some kind of presence, and Hierophants are really good for just sort of like being in your opponent's face, and you might never get a single kill, but you can constantly just run in and be like, pew pew, I'm attacking you, what do you got? So, I don't know. We'll see. And he's quite transparent. He sees it with the Droller.
Yes.
Like, all right, you're starting to make the Ecclesiast. I better get ready.
Yeah, you can see Kenoli restarting his Vespine mining after he puts his pool down here again, right at the extremis of his base. And yeah, it does have a lot of cash. It looks like he'll go for a second Larvosk, and that's before, I think at this point you make a hatch in your main if you're not ready to expand yet with that kind of
a
income.
hatch right on the ramp would be perfect against this. That would be very helpful against Ecclesiast.
Yeah, just fight around it.
Just distract him.
Yeah, but that's what it was. Okay, that's what I wasn't sure about. He was getting gas. I don't think he needs the Kagrin at that point. But I thought maybe he was going straight for Vornath here, because that's why you go for that. If you see Zealot Ecclesiast, you know. And it is going to be, 5 Ecclesiasts to start. Now he's getting into some Zealot production. Looks like he's going to want to drop his Nexus soon and try to play around that. The Zethracor's already moving across.
The Vornath is good against Zealot Ecclesiast. Those Vorpacores are really helpful against the Zealots. But what doesn't make sense is that he has delayed his second level so much. Honestly, I feel like he just shouldn't have pulled off gas. He scouts he's not getting cheesed or something. He doesn't need the pull so fast. Oh, this is not going to work out for Zerg. I think this is going to be free kills for Protoss if not careful. He's going to get that Zealot, though. Oh, no, he does work right back. Just a bit slow, but he does keep it alive barely.
Wow, okay.
That was never going to happen for Zerg, I feel like. So quite a misjudgment from Kenoli there to try that. But they are just Fs, I guess. It's only lava you're losing. It's not money, but he doesn't have lava. That's his issue.
Yeah, and there was a lot of them, right? That was it looks like by my count, 9 Zeths died. He's got 5 left. So not an insignificant loss in the numbers. If those are meant to be future Vorpacores, you are paying a bit of a tax to get them back later. So
that's the secret with not having any lava. If you just make every Zeth into a Vorp, you can spend a lot of money that way.
I guess so, and he's got a lot of money, dude. He's got over 1,000 in the bank, and he's gonna make 2 pairs of Naths. Well, I don't know. Smarty's already got a Warden up. I don't think that's gonna work out.
He's not to know. Have pity on the poor child. You got to keep Protoss honest and those kind of things. And when it's pure gateway, they have some mileage, not like they used to. But yeah, I would love to see Kenoli, not just in this game, I think in general, just sort of reconsider how much more lava he needs than he thinks he does, because there seems to be a consistent issue, but otherwise he's playing quite well. But you can see he's having a real hard time keeping his money down. Of course, the natural is going to come up, which is quite nice, but it's ahead of time for Smarty. Now, Smarty's only got 3 gates so far, but as long as he can hold off and get into some kind of tech, he's going to have a pretty decisive advantage, I think. In my opinion, Protoss expanding, it's not good at all until you get some better tech, and then it's really good.
Yeah, that's probably a fair assessment, right? It's like you do that as a setup because it's incumbent upon you, but Smarty's going to move across and catch some of these Vorps before they morph. There's 8 of them here. Is this going to be enough? I mean, you push V, you might win the game. Of course, those Nathacores are going to fly in and do pretty much nothing, but yeah, it feels like the Ecclesiast net count is a bit of a critical mass here. Getting right on top of those Vorps as they hatch, not able to get any of them to pop. But yeah, the Naths won't really be able to find much of anything.
Oh no, the Warden's just finishing in time down there. So he's in a weird position. Yeah, he's not going to do anything with those. The Vorps are the unit you need to deal with this, but you need Vorps plus something, like Zeths, for example, as he's building. Honestly, more cores behind this as well. I think it's smart of Smarty too.
He wanted to kill the Naths, but he was too slow, so he took his aggression out on his own Ecclesiast.
That's abuse, man. It's just, why didn't you catch the Naths?
Yeah, you failed. Turn into a vagrant.
Yeah. But I think it was smart of Smarty to turn around there, because Kenoli having engaged is going like, oh crap, build the units, and every lava is going to units, so it definitely makes sense to pull back. And Zealot Ecclesiast, even though it's like the comp to deal with these quasi units, it's also very vulnerable out on the map to being shrouded and suddenly eliminated, so I think it's very smart to just stay safe here. Now, but I would like to see some tech. He's got the gas. There we go. It's going to be Ardent and another gateway.
Yeah, it doesn't really have the money for too much else. It probably wants to put down an embassy at some point soon. We do have the Zeths and Vorps coming on in, and it's a pretty wide arc here. Obviously, Kenoli has a lot, but he's only got 14 workers. His macro in the dumps right now.
I mean, he has the money to just suddenly shoot up in workers. He can still absolutely catch up in workers. Yes. But then the question is, can he hold? And again, he just doesn't have as much Lavos production as he needs to. I guess when you consider his worker count, the Lavos production doesn't look so bad. But think about what could have been,
Well, think about that. He's still got 800 minerals in the bank. Yeah. That's 2 and almost 3 hatches at that point.
Yeah,
so.
Imagine he was on 50 workers with 8 or 9 lava production structures. He'd be looking pretty good here. He'd be taking his third base, and like whatever comes out of the Ardent, he'd have time to get into Hydras. But as it stands, he looks like he's in a lot of danger. He does see the Ardents, though, which is huge.
Hello, yeah, he does. He does. He's also saturated pretty nicely in his main base, I guess you can say, but I don't know.
Man, that Zealot's got like a Nath on his back.
I know, yeah, he's being chased by all the denizens. This looks like a UMS map or something. There's so many Zerg in the middle. He finally breaks through the other side. Well, it looks
He's
like
got
it should
3.
be routed.
Is he going to make it? Oh,
They
he sees
confirmed
no
no
third.
third. Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Yeah,
And
there's still some shadow, right? You could say that it's at the 3 o'clock position potentially here, but...
True. And Zerg would like to take that. But if he figures out, knows he just needs to stay back, he's looking pretty good. Now, like I said, you can catch up in work as a Zerg, and he's doing that right now.
Oh my god. Smarty's going Clarion Positron.
Oh no. The Clarions I love, the Positrons I don't. Like,
no, you said they have a use.
For?
You're a fan.
Yeah, I did say that, didn't I?
You did say that at the end of your at the end of the cast of the Shambler group. So.
Well, they'll be fighting against these Quas units, I guess. Honestly, I think he can win just with this Positron. Like, what is this Zerg army going to do against this army with a Positron? I think it's kind of impossible. He needs to get in before these Hydras are done, though. The Hydra 10 is halfway done. It does take a while, but hesitating.
Yeah, right now he's just kind of dancing around, doesn't know his own strength, I think. You're right that the Clarion can do a ton of work. I assume that's what you meant, because you were just saying you don't like Positron, and then you're like, well, this army with a Positron. But you meant Clarion, yeah? You're talking about
that? Did I say Positron? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant the Clarion, the one Clarion. The one Positron is not adding much. The one Clarion is, like, winning the game.
Yes, so, I feel that way. I mean, the Clarion is so strong, right? Like, sharing those shields. Okay, third base is going up at 3 o'clock. Kenoli going to 10 Hydra now. But I think Smarty's move out's going to happen a little bit sooner. He's got one Cantor coming. The Crucible going to power up a lot, including a Dracula that's stuck inside the gateway wall. Oh, Protoss. At least he made a pylon.
Well, Kenoli is finally getting that third, but so is SmrtyCakes thinking about it. The Crucible is up. It's in an interesting position, I'll say. I think that's the word I'm going to use, but hey, it gets both Ardents, I suppose.
That's the main story, yeah.
Alright, this army's ready to kick some ass. There's a lot of Quas units, but honestly, I feel like even the more units Zerg has, the worse it is for him for these Ecclesiasts.
Yeah.
Alright,
I gotta make sure that Clarion doesn't get picked.
Dies.
Yeah.
Oh, the Cantor got killed by Quasilis. What just happened? Oh
yep.
My god.
Such is the fate of things.
Magnificent surround. How do you actually break through?
I don't think so.
Getting out of range. Well,
oh, he's going after the Clarion, not quite able to dive on it. Oh, he misclicks. He hit a unit behind it. That was fateful. That could have been the snipe, but even then, I don't think he would have won the fight. He's just looking for a consolation as he gets his way out. Still making a lot of units behind this.
It can sit back. It can retire. It's done its work.
Second one actually already on the way.
From Kenoli. If it was just Zealot Ecclesiast, he would have pulled it off, I think. But Clarion being absolutely huge there. Imagine if he had like a couple of his lists in each of the surrounding groups. Could have been a devastating sort of crossfire. You know, he might well hold with the Circus, but the problem is, what if a Cantor's its way across? I guess he's not making any more for now.
He has two more in the middle of the map trying to move away, but they are very, very slow and sleepy.
Okay,
as the Hydra count continues to rise. This might still be a good fight for Smarty to try to take despite that.
Oh, definitely. Big mistake for Kenoli to leave his static defense, I think, because there's just no way you're busting this.
Zealot reinforcements coming in as well. Yeah. Definitely a big move there. Didn't factor that in.
Now, Smarty can just move in now, I think. I'm not sure what prompted Kenoli to move out ahead. I think he was thinking about his third base when really there was no way to hold it.
Smarty doesn't even know about it. It's going to go up. If a base is made and never scouted, does it make a mineral? Apparently Kenoli doesn't know the answer to that one because he is about to go down. The Khazitras finishes up, but it's not enough to really do much of anything. Immediately sniped, GG called. Smarty will post up the revenge.
Yeah, nicely done. Well, those are Smarty's best units, is his Zealot Ecclesiast. You know, he's a big fan of literally just like staying one base and making Ecclesiast, and then you suddenly die. Even though you might have some fancy army, it's like, well, I've just got enough Ecclesiast to heal that.
Yeah, it's definitely happened before. It's the Protoss edition of the Antseal protecting versus, you know, a Gazithalor or something. It's crazy. That would never happen, especially in a tournament game. But we do have a lot of Zerg units in that last match, and they weren't really able to break through, like the bulwark, so to speak. Not the literal bulwark, but the figurative one. That's the problem with having so many units and naming them epic things, is that you run out of things to say that aren't, like when I want to describe, like, and there's a phalanx of this unit, and then I'm like, yeah, but that's actually a unit name, so shit. But artful commentary aside, I do think that the Protoss were very well defended from the Clarion had a humongous amount of damage share. Very, very good usage of it as well to keep it safe, even though there was a few times where Kenoli probably could have sniped it. If he didn't get it at the very beginning of the fight, it was not going to go his way. I think it just distributed way too much damage because there was a lot of Zealot Ecclesiast. So, yeah, definitely a big deal. I think anything that will restore shields as well, especially if it affects the Clarion, which I don't know that it did in those fights, will make a massive difference too, because then the Clarion's incoming damage will also be distributed. But if it loses its shields, it's only got its own durability, right? Which is where it becomes much more snipeable. So interesting situation there for Smarty to go ahead and throw us in. And now he's got to face off against Grass Eater, which, you know, if Kenoli beat Grass, you have to say that Smarty should also beat Grass. Do you think maybe Grass can pull out the upset, though, with the way that he was playing?
Oh yeah, definitely potential there. But we'll have to see what kind of strategy is going to come out against Protoss.
Right, yeah, that's true. We haven't seen the versus Protoss. All right, well, stay tuned because we're going into that game too. All right, we're getting into game 4 here of our tournament, of our upper card, or undercard rather. Maybe it'll be upper card later on if Smarty and Kenoli keep playing like they are. GLHF Buddy says SmrtyCakes, who is our Celadon? Asparagus Protoss on the bottom right. And we got Grass Eater up here. And I never guessed the brown colors right, because there's Coyote Brown, there's Inwaldite Brown. I don't think this is either of them. This is just brown. Oh, it was How was I supposed to guess it was liver? Get out of here.
You made the game, man. You're setting yourself up.
Never see that color. All right, so Smarty's going to go Gateway first. Grass looks like he's going Larvosk into probably Pool, but he's got a... You know, we'll see if he pulls the workers off a gas or not. That might be an indicator that it could be a fast Hydrith. Now, what do you reckon for this map? Is this kind of a neutral map for this matchup? You obviously played this against Hamster a few times in tournament play.
Yeah, definitely. I like it for Zerg quite a bit because it has these sort of like alternate paths you can sort of go around, and anytime Zerg's sort of running around the side, you're in a very bad time. And look at this ramp, right, in this vertical bit here. Very strong defense for Zerg. Zerg takes this third. It's not very hard to get Kagro over there, set up a bunch of stack D. It's just never happening. Because in Protoss specifically is the matchup where you can deploy a lot of static defense if the map is buildable to just block off attack path. And then Zerg has a great hold on the high ground over there. So, you know, if it goes that way, if we go into like a long macro game, Zerg's looking at an easy 4 bases that they can turn up. So I like it for Zerg generally.
Okay. Well, Hamster did 6-pool you on it, so I guess that neutralized any advantage he would have had in the matchup.
Yeah, well, I guess he was too afraid to play the longer game on the map because he agreed with me, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, you know Hamster, he just likes his 6-pools, man.
He does like to do some wacky stuff, especially in very late stages of the game and like in a series. All right, so Grass is still just going to go for his stock standard style. Hasn't decided to pivot away from the Larvosk opening, and it is going to be Zealot Ecclesiast yet again, although it is a Zealot first this time for Smarty. Don't know if that's really much of a significance there. The one thing I can say is if you're going to go Zealot Ecclesiast, you don't want to do that Hierophant for whatever reason, the Ecclesiast will more reliably kill the starting Scout than a Zealot will. You have to micro the Zealot a little bit more, so...
Yeah, well, you know what really will kill it is a Hierophant, though.
That's true. This is true, yeah. I don't know why you would avoid a Hierophant. I guess it is a bit expensive. Now, Smarty...
It does take a lot of build as well.
Smarty has a bit of bank in his cash. Yeah, okay, he's going to splash it on a gateway. I was going to say he could be setting up for an expansion because I saw his worker come back from the scout, but it does go all the way back in, and the first 6 Zets are going to come out and potentially clear that Zealot since it doesn't have any Ecclesiast buddies. Okay. Oh, I love the attempt at surrounding, maybe a little bit more than he can chew. He's really going to try to dive onto it, but good moves from Smarty to just kind of cycle back. Didn't get baited into the straight-up fight. So those Zets end up bruising. Honestly, that was, even though Grass wasn't able to actually get the surround off, real props for attempting it, and good discipline to fall back when it was obviously not going to work out. He only loses, 25 minerals in 1 larva, worth of units there.
We're sort of exposing the differences, I think, between Grass Eater and Kenoli, where I think Grass Eater sort of has come in like sort of with better plans and maybe even like a sort of, you might say, a better understanding of what he's trying to do, but Kenoli is sort of a brute barbarian who has had the mechanics and the aggression to tear his opponents down. I think it's very true of what he was able to accomplish in Acropolis as well, right? This game is not really about the theory at the end of the day.
Sure,
it's
a
real-time game.
Yep. Absolutely the case.
Across.
4th gate about to finish up here for SmrtyCakes before his rise to a 2nd base.
Yeah, this is SmrtyCakes' element, man. This is what he thrives on. Like I was saying, it's just making the maximum amount of Ecclesiasts and challenging the opponent to do anything about it. Now, I think Grass Eater is actually quite aware of the situation he's in here. Looks like it's going to get a circle from the ramp. He's got those Hydras, which is really what you need. As long as you just keep making Hydras, they will outscale the Ecclesiast at a certain point. So I like Grass Eater's
The
position
Zeph
right
got
now.
in. I don't know how that happened exactly, but Grass just found out it's 4-gate. Like, at that point,
It was
you
buried than
know.
that, and it came in at the key
Okay.
moment. So
There you go.
excellent move there. Now he
Yeah,
knows
yeah.
what he's up against, right? He just needs to hold. Once he gets like, I don't know, 25 to 30 Hydras, then the Ecclesiast will cease to really do anything.
Yep.
He's
You
looking
can
pretty good.
you can basically use them as like a crowbar. You just kind of punch your way through and crack open like a part of the shell that the Zealot Ecclesiast is attempting to make. And, you know, you just carve through it. They can't heal out all of that DPS.
Well, look, he's going to scout. He's going to like, hang on a minute, where is he? Oh, there he is. He's coming. Ah, no, man, look at this army. There's no way for Smarty. If he attacks in, he's going to lose a lot. That said, the Ecclesiast do let you run away pretty fast, but he's not busting all the burrow. Oh, man, it would have been so sick if he baited him in closer. Still, though, he's going to reveal everything. Smarty's going to try it on. I don't know about this. He loses 3 Zealots.
Yeah, I mean, he only clears 5 quads for it, so, you know, not really the biggest of trades in his favor. He's going to drop his Nexus, having cut a little bit of, I think maybe 1 cycle. Maybe not, actually. He might have just kept it going. And there's the expansion from Grass. He knows that he's won himself the prize of having a natural.
Now, you look at this and you might say, well, oh, they're expanding at the same time. They got the same workers, but that is very deceptive because Zerg will easily overtake in workers once they're established here, especially if he adds more production, which he needs to do. But, of course, all his gas has gone to Hydroblast. Aziracors, again, are gonna work out, man. Aziracors, the hidden carry. People need to use them more, I think.
Ovaleth on the way, and another macro hatch as well for Grass Eater all the way up there. And, you know, I gotta say, Smarty's already moving, setting his sights on a 3rd base, double expanding from this position, as he's got a pretty good contain, you know?
I'll say this about it. It is a play because he is behind in the sense that he's got all these units that are not going to scale, especially once backlists come out. Now, you need to maintain a high amount of Hydras definitely to deal with this, but you augment that with a few backlists, and this army for SmrtyCakes does not have much potential going forward. So,
I think he's actually going to dive in.
Well, what was I saying, right? How much potential does it have or doesn't have? He's trying to focus Ecclesiast, but that's just going to speed him up. Is he actually going to bust here? Maybe Grass Eater hit the drone button again too soon. The amount of Hydras is not that high, but he can retreat back to his defense here. Needs to keep producing. There's nothing producing for Grass Eater until just now. I'm not sure what was going on there.
Yeah, that was a big mistake there. He could have been making Hydra. He could have had Hydras already reinforcing and maybe burst this this bad boy down. That's the last Zealot, so it's all Ecclesiast. I do think at this point Smarty needs to fall back.
Well, it's good attack from Smarty to get some mileage where you can, but you can see that the Hydras really just outclass this composition, right? That's the unit you need. So pretty scary for Grass Eater, but well held and demonstrating the strength of his composition. SmrtyCakes never made that Nexus, by the way. So.
Yes, and he's never made Scribes at the natural either. So
oh dear.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a power move there for Smarty, but it's held off, and Grass immediately just saturates the space at least partially with a big transfer of 15 workers over. So
I think Smarty's going to attack again. He's waiting for his Zealots, or his Zealot, and then he's
he's got 2 total. They're coming in from either sides. That's it. Those are the big dogs. And you know, we do need to see Grass Eater get some more army here. Otherwise, he will potentially be run over. A couple more Hydras come in. That's going to be 20.
That's enough, I think. I'm looking at this, and I just don't see SmrtyCakes busting through. I mean, he can run in and, like, you know, be killing a bunch of Hydras, but then what? Like, he's just going to run back, and you'll see the same thing. We'll pick off the Zealots. The Khazitra, of course, is going to be devastating if it finishes before this happens. And SmrtyCakes is waiting. I mean, I don't blame him because there's so few Zealots, but given that he hasn't started his 3rd, and he does just have these gateways, just started the Ardent, he would be better off trying to make some good trades before Zerg gets established here. But now the Khazitra is going to be finished. He's going to bait him in. Great move
I
there.
love this timing, yeah, with the Khazitras coming. Now, he doesn't have any circuits. This might have been a little bit of a risk there. Remember that the Ecclesiast kind of neutralized the secondary attack that the Khazitra offers. Oh, this might have been a little bit of a mistake. He doesn't even morph the other one until it's too late, and he's only got a couple of Hydras. Can he hit the droll button as he was trying to bust out? That was an error.
Down. I love how they're all rallying down. Look, I think the real problem there was he stepped in front of his SimCity, and he actually choked himself. And you can see Protoss came in like a wide arc and crushed it. If he sort of sent like 2 Hydras and hit the rest back behind the buildings, I think he would have been 100% fine. But yeah, GG. Yeah. Smarty was ready to snap his neck. He was waiting out there practicing.
And that was like the only window for him to do so, honestly. Like that game could have been very different if Grass had a little bit more, I want to say discipline. I don't know if that sounds a little too harsh, but definitely one of those things where you look at it and you think to yourself, okay, we've got ourselves an interesting like party here that could have happened. Instead, our liver Zerg is now a dire Zerg. So poor guy.
Well, this is 100% Smarty's style. Is you're
Yeah.
playing and you think, oh, okay, he's going for third Ecclesias, and you think, all right, I've defended that. But then later, it's like, wait a minute, he was still making Ecclesias the whole time, and suddenly you're
Yes.
dead because you didn't
He had
expect him to do that.
Grass did have the Ovoleth to scout. It was a 5th gate ad and an Ardent ad, so he knew that there was
Yeah.
some transition coming, but it was mostly still Gateway. And he knew that there were no Dracodons filtered in. He knew that there was nothing else coming out of those gates. It was just straight up Zealot Ecclesia. So a little bit of a maybe not recognizing where that is, but honestly, like I gotta give it to Grass. If he had understood the level of threat and the level of danger, and he just plays it differently from like 30 seconds before he GGs, you know what I mean? Like the whole game is different, right? That's
Well,
all
even
it
from a
took was that
micro
one
standpoint,
mistake.
he
Yeah.
could have taken that fight pretty easily, I think, if his army was better arrayed as well. So it's definitely close, but you got to give it to Smarty also for not missing the opportunity and taking it when he saw it.
I think another thing that Zergs can try to do, obviously, if you want to be brawly, then that's one thing. But if you want to guarantee defense and maybe also set yourself up for some better harass, Zork is in that position is potentially the better option because the Lakes will just shred the obviously the Ecclesias if they get close enough, but definitely the Zealots. It'll help deal with that if you have enough of them. You know, you're talking like 5-6 Lakes will clear that the whole front line entirely, and then the Ecclesias can't do anything. And you're also forcing different tech because they need detection. So it slows down the opponent, and it also guarantees that you can much more comfortably make those workers that Grass so clearly wanted. Especially now in an era where you can build a Khaz'trith to get your extra Lakizalisk shots up, dude. You might not even need 5, so it can be pretty deadly in that particular angle, but just a learning sort of experience there for Grass. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, Lakizlas definitely completely negate Ecclesias because they need to be in a blob, but then there's getting hit by all the Lakizlas. So would have been an option for sure. Not that I think Hydra couldn't have done it though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like, it wasn't unplayable because of a build order thing, for sure. All right, well, we get to go to our next game here, Game 5, and it'll be Kenoli challenging Smarty. Once again, we'll see who comes out on top. We're on for Dyadic Shore this time around. Kenoli picking this map, made by Biddy B. It's seen a couple of revisions, and now it's back in the Class 1 pool. By the way, I didn't mention this at the start, but any Class 1 map was available for picking. And I think that's pretty cool overall. So Kenoli is our Pumpkin Zerg in the bottom left, and SmrtyCakes is rocking the... I think this is just gray. Oh, it's silver. Silver Protoss in the top left. I guess we might not have a gray. We might have a dim gray, but nothing else. I guess if you're dim gray, does that mean you're lower rank than silver?
Ooh, yeah, I don't know. Well, it's nice to see all these PDB maps get picked. I'm glad we let the players sort it out, and just by natural selection, I think PDB map's going to come out on top. You know, Dyadic Shore has sort of been a long time coming to see in official games, because it's actually been around for quite a while. Of course, it's gone through quite a few changes.
You remember their first version of it had 2 ramps into your main, so that was the key thing, and like it was blocked by a treasury or something like that, and so you'd come in from the third at that point. It was a little bit too it was a little bit too rampy for the players. Yeah. Most people don't like that. You know, I'm thinking about
I gotta say,
Crossguard. I'm thinking about some of those other maps where we had multiple entrances into the main.
I didn't even say the word Crossguard, dude. This should have been in the same league. I'm never a fan of 2 entrances into your main, though, I have to say. Or 2 entrances into anything. 2 entrances into your natural, get me out of here. 2 entrances into your third, you know. So.
You kind of need that, though. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you need to be able to get out. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But you know me. I just like more straight up macro maps, I guess. So that's just me. Yeah, I think
one of these days I'll have to make one instead of all my zany experiments. You know.
Yeah. Wow. Imagine that. That's right. You got these other mappers to do the work for you. Oh, speaking of, look at that doodad though. Do you see that with its roll left? Just past it. See in the center of the map? Sorry, it's just. Time to look at tile.
Yep, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's just the sprite that's sticking out there.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was thinking with that one. Yeah. I don't. I used to be a bit more stringent. I would go in and fix people's bad tiles and all sorts of other stuff, but not anymore. I got too much other things to do, so it's up to them.
Fair enough. Ooh, all right.
Eviscerated, yeah. So it's going to be Ecclesias Zealot. Big surprise there for everybody watching SmrtyCakes.
Kenoli learned from his mistakes.
I know, yeah.
Powering pool play, but it was.
Straight into Zorkas. Straight into Zorkas. Okay.
Definitely learned.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is the perfect thing. All you got to do is get like 2 to 3 Ecclesias, and you're like, right, I'm taking my expansion. Good luck, Protoss. Because, yeah, Ecclesias will do nothing against that.
Yep.
Well, he's searching. Hang on a minute. Is Smarty 1 step ahead? How did he know? How did he know?
Oh, 2-gate Ardent. Okay, he's changing his style up as well.
Now, do you go for the Cantor, or do you just go straight into Clarion? I don't really see how he's going to have gas for...
He's dropping. The embassy is here. Okay. That's also going to afford him the witness, you know? So he will actually have the tools to deal with the Lakers.
Smarty's map hacking, dude. He was listening to the stream. He's listening to the stream ahead of time.
Yeah, he's time travel hacker. This is where he would just join our Discord call, too, and he would say, that's hot. So...
What do you guys think I should do in the next game? He said, well, he'd have to lose for that, wouldn't he? This is his game to win the group, isn't it?
Yeah, he's currently, let's see, he beat Kenoli once, and he beat Grass Eater once, so he still has a little bit to go.
Right.
Yeah.
I forgot he lost one of those. So
lost the opener,
okay.
Yeah.
You know, I look over on my second monitor, and I see, like, on YouTube, in the side, it says, like, Pr0nogo live right now, so, I don't know, are you in two places at once? I think it's just an old tab, but, like...
Yeah, I think that's scary to me. I'm not streaming. What's going on here? That's like, when Jujic was playing this, we were also Jujic was adminning this, and I was also running the stream for the upper card. And Smarty's like, "Hold on, I got to rewind the stream." And then Grass is like, "Oh, Jujic is streaming," and I was like, "He is?" And Jujic was like, "I am." So yeah, that's pretty funny too. He was watching it all.
Okay, so these quads coming up, is he going to have to show the account or to defend himself? I wonder. I mean, he's going to sell it into Ecclesias, which is kind of a match for this. He needs to get a bit more forward on the ramp.
There's hardly any units here. Yeah, you're right.
I think oh no, but he has to show everything. Oh, disaster. I really think he could have just held the ramp there if he just aggressively sent the Zealot in. He's not going to get this Acanto, but he's going to damage it, so...
That's going to make it a lot easier for further attacks onto it. Yeah, it's down to a little bit of other half health.
That Scarab coming through. Sorry, it makes me make noises. You know, because it was so close to hitting.
Yeah.
But he's going to come right across. But yeah, having revealed it is huge, man. I feel like it was almost kind of a throw from Smarty. He could have just, especially if he had that scouting zealot at home, would have been plenty to just push those units back on the ramp. But now there's Envoy getting some damage. Now the main is not ready to defend, but I feel like he can just pull this Drolev. Yeah, he's going to be fine here, or is he?
Oh, they go after the Quaz instead. Preemptive strike. Nice dodge. Good work. Oh, he still hits 3 workers on the back end. Oh, nerf the toss. Well, it will get burned out, but that was actually a little bit more damage. And remember, Kenoli doesn't have the most workers right now, so that might change his calculus a little bit. Now he's going to have to think about, okay, instead of being aggressive, I need to make workers. He still hasn't resaturated his main base, Neblime. He's mining with 3 workers.
Yeah, this is disastrous, honestly, more than any of the damage that got done. Finally going to do it.
Yeah.
That was hilarious, though. He had, like, the sickest dodge, and then off in the distance, like, oh no, there goes my Drollefs.
You were never the target. Boom! Yeah, it's just what a mess. You can make an action movie out of that one.
I don't know if you know XCOM, but you're trying to get these containers, something called meld, right? And the alien run past you, and you go into slow motion shooting at it, and like it's like, oh, you know, you missed, and then off in the distance, it's taking up like 1% of the screen. You see the meld container get like destroyed by the shot that missed.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. So. It was quite unfortunate for Kenoli, but I think on balance he's doing way better here. He's going to shoot ahead and workers. Now he's trying to attack in, which I think was like kind of the only way that these Ecclesias could be dealt with.
Yeah, that is rough. That is really rough. The Bulwark detects, the Clarion detects. There was no hope for that attack.
So one more detector and they unburrow automatically.
Yeah. If you get 3 detectors, it just forcibly decloaks them.
That's right. But yeah, that was a real misplay for Kenoli. If he was just defending with those, I think he was looking really good to just shoot ahead and workers. As it is, I mean, he's sort of even again, but he's very undersaturated. Getting more defense as well, worrying about more drops. Now, I think it's fine for Smarty to just say, like, well, all right, I have my fun. I'm just going to put them in the army now. I think that's a good move. And just get these witnesses and hopefully some artisans. But I think that attack has really put him back in this game, and now he's probably ready to pull ahead. But we'll see what he does. More draw are being made.
He's only now resaturating his main gas. He was not mining Vespene from it whatsoever, and his natural has been going unmined as well. So Kenoli's really been feeding off of just whatever bank he had, and he didn't have a lot in the mineral department, but now he does. So, you know, when he actually makes workers, that is indeed what happens, and now he needs to actually spend that money. 4 Gorgorcores on the way. Hardly any defenses. He's only got 3 Quas in the back of that natural. This attack that really shouldn't do that much might potentially be lethal.
Yeah, I mean, he was just like, well, I have to make the workers now because I got harassed, and this is the consequence after you throw away your defensive army. And yeah, I think this is kind of just over. Gorgs are coming out, though. I mean, there's a little bit of anti-air here, but not much. Gorgs can probably clear this, actually.
They can, but this is going to be a lot of damage to the eco in a position where Kenoli was already behind. Smarty could look for a 3rd base. He's adding 2 more gates in the main instead. Servitors are going to get munched on. Oh, instead he goes after the Clarion.
Nah, which one's he getting? Who knows? Maybe the Clarion can hide somewhere and run away. No, he's going to have to retreat. No, a second Clarion, get out of here.
Yeah, he needs to get those out. He still has a window.
Civilians. No, they're going to get killed. Why are they not even running away?
Because if they ran away, then you would lose the buff. So they just stand and take it.
I didn't know they did that. Okay.
Yeah. There's certain units that don't retreat, you know, like a shaman or whatever, you know, stuff like that.
Positron coming out. Is it the unit we need? Is he the hero we need? I'd love to see a ladder to manifold would be very helpful here, but he's going to go for the scribes as he attacks on the front. I like this a lot, actually. He's going to get good damage in while the army has to respond to these front units. But of course, with the bulwark and the I can't remember the name of the matrix.
Matrix. There you go.
Yeah, why can't I say matrix? Like my favorite building. With those two, of course, he can't actually bust. But I love the move that it's like, all right, I'm throwing in the army at the front. Hang on a minute, what is this? A Cantor?
Whoa, Smarty, what are you doing with that, buddy?
Oh no, he's done.
He'll get a really core. Oh, not quite. Never mind.
It survived from the splash. Amazing.
Yeah. Hey, they aren't paper tigers after all. You know, the witness has still been here. This is such a weird game. Like, I feel like maybe this is when both players are tired now and their levels dropped. Yeah. So they're just full send. A Cantor rallied across the map. Random scribe catches the army move out. The Gorgs got 2 workers during their attack. Like, you know, not a great situation. Running in with the lake is when he didn't need to either. So, all right, he's making 6 more Gorgs. He's gonna wrap around. But look at the warden again. He's making 7 wardens in the main base.
I think it's a good call, honestly, because how else are you going to deal with these Gorgs, right? I mean, you might say it might have been better to make like 1 warden and 1 more. Oh, okay, now he's overdoing it a bit. Now I'm questioning it. Oh, they're not done in time, though. Well, they're sort of done just in time, though. It's like a bait. It's like, oh, I'm fine. Those are pylons, right? Or something. I don't know. But now he's going to lose all his Gorgs for a few workers.
Yeah, and, you know, a bunch of Rocors died on the front, but nothing got in, so... He still has 1 Gorg. Remember, he made 6 more back at home.
Dude, it's flipped back. SmrtyCakes has the army. Does he have any Clarions around? He does not, unfortunately. But
no, they all died to Gorgs earlier. The Positron's doing a dance to summon one.
Yeah, nice. Let's see if it works. It opens the warp portal and the Star Sovereign comes out. I really think
then people would make Positrons then, dude. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Balance attacks. Let's drop it. The Zelda Ecclesias comp is not going to be that good against Gorgs. It's not that bad, don't get me wrong. I mean, Ecclesias can sort of deal with Gorgs, but he has no armor pen buff. You know, the Positrons have no armor pen. They're going to do flat splash, but not very much. So I feel like if Kenoli keeps his foot on the Gorg pedal, he can actually overwhelm this army, especially if SmrtyCakes moves out too brazenly. But then again, SmrtyCakes can sit back a little. The third base is not up yet. But you got to be careful, Zope will get out of control if you wait too long, and Smarty knows it. He definitely feels compelled to move out. Wow, look how bad those Positrons are, man. Look at the absolutely nothing they did.
What do you mean? They zoned him. That Zorius was not thinking about moving in.
Okay.
He's gonna
Let's see if they do any damage this time. Oh, no.
Hey, they did 18 damage.
No, 0 damage.
Well, he keeps moving. He's running away. He's zoning.
Okay. Well, he's gonna come for an actual fight soon. Now, where
Gorgs are on.
Ooh. Well, they're gonna take that Ingram out, I think, if he focuses it. No, it's sort of gonna survive with the Bulwark and the Matrix. Okay, so he's gonna take the Ingram out, but I think the Gorgs will get cleared here. And meanwhile, Smarty's army is strong enough to kill all these Zoryus, but he does need to stay concentrated. I think that was a mistake from Kenoli. As much workers as he might have killed. Oh, wait, but there's some Lakizilisks.
The witness is already here.
No.
Detection already in position.
Oh, I don't know, though. That many Zoryus? I don't think he can bust in here, so I take it back, actually. Kenoli getting that worker lead by sacrificing the Gorgs, and his defense is actually enough, but he can't be bleeding these Zoryus.
Yeah, and the Clarion's here as well for extra shield split. Definitely helps changes the calculus.
Positrons, no. Okay, they're alright.
They're fine. They're going to clear everything. They do so much damage.
No, they're going to make so many other records.
And then kill them all.
Too many Zoryus. Ooh,
yeah, there's a lot of Zoryus because he had so many minerals, but he didn't turn them into Iziracors, so his damage is a little bit low. The lake is get focused down through that mess. I don't know how Smarty clicked them.
God.
Great work there. The Positrons must have splashed them.
It doesn't matter. There's too much healing. It doesn't matter what Zed does. He's not going to do any damage.
The Clarions are not being focused down by the Gorgs. They were the perfect unit for it.
Oh my god, swimming in Zerg blood, but it doesn't matter. His shields are immortal with all these Ecclesias from the Clarion. The Zoryus are helpless.
The Positrons counter everything, Neblime.
I don't know about that. Well, the Gorgs are coming in for another round, but they are just getting picked down. Meanwhile, the Zoya's actually getting through the Zealots while the Gorgs distract, but so many reinforcements showed up. I have no idea where Smarty pulled those units out from, but he has a huge army. He's going to crush through. I think he's got this game.
That means that it'll only be Grass Eater standing away from him winning the group, and it's not looking too good for our Zerg representatives. GG, Smarty punches through. His immortal army will not be stopped.
Dude, call it Immortal Star. That's what Smarty plays. He doesn't want to see any Protoss souls more than he has to be ascended, you know? Oh no, I clicked on BattleNet. Send help.
Oh no, don't do that. All right, well, I guess in that case, we got an emergency break cut to the next game. And on to Blackwater Bastion, picked by I Like to Eat Grass. SmrtyCakes in the bottom left as our... Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm going to get it wrong. Mango Protoss. It's Neon Carrot. And Grass Eater in the top right as our white Zerg. So, it's cross pawns on a 4-spawn map. That does tell us that I think we'll be in for a good game. Just because, you know, that usually leads to more macro-oriented stuff. What are you thinking about this situation? And how do you like the adaptations that Grass could make on a map like this? It feels like it's a lot less likely to terminate in the same style, whether SmrtyCakes even goes for it.
Yeah, solid map pick for sure for Zerg. Any 4-player map obviously probably going to be good, but this one's definitely a huge macro map. Plenty of open space as well. But SmrtyCakes is on a roll. Can the Ecclesiast be stopped? You know, I feel like you need to add like the campaign story mission of like the victorious march of the Ecclesiast army over several battles, you know. It remains to be seen. Now look at this. He's getting the Warden immediately, expecting a 6-pool, I imagine.
Interesting. On a 4-spawn map? That's kind of funny.
Well, that's the thing. You would do it on a 4-spawn map because you think your opponent wouldn't expect it, but then your opponent expects it because you do it because you wouldn't expect it, and you know it recurves infinitely. There's no end to the metagame in Starcraft.
So it's Schrodinger's 6-pool. It's both happening and not, and the Protoss is both warping in a Warden and not at the same time.
Yeah. He will set him back quite a bit because he won't have his second gate to keep producing here. Now, he may not even get a second gate. I say that just at the Ecclesiast. I was wondering if he was going to get the Grand Library, but I guess after that one game, Grand Library just puts a bad taste in his mouth. He's like, no, you know what, I was wrong. Ecclesiast are the one. Ecclesiast and Clarion seems to do the job. And they were insane last game, honestly.
Yep. The 2-gate Ardent was really, really good from Smarty. Definitely played differently. He got his Witness out as well so that he could detect. I mean, he got the Clarion out to detect. He had the Bulwark to detect. There was everything that he needed to hold those pushes. And now Kenoli has to sit back and watch because he's basically guaranteed to have to fight for second place if Grass can't perform the upset here. And it would be an upset. I think Smarty's been playing pretty well, even though his style might be not exactly one note. We obviously saw him change it in Dyadic Shore, but maybe a little bit like his Victoria style definitely revolves around Zealot Ecclesiast, at least to start.
Yeah, I mean, that one Apollo game, I think, you know, he wasn't as confident with the particular strategies, right? But he's, like I said, he's fallen back to his style. And it seems to be serving him well. You know, even despite some, I would say, major blunders in the previous game, he was able to make the comp and crush his opponent. Now, we see Grass with, you know, this little sort of quad force coming across. Definitely not going to be able to get anything done, but I guess he can keep the map presence. Oh yeah, he's just setting the Zephs, okay.
Yep, I think he just wants to get vision, know where Smarty's bases are like. He did get a lot of mileage on Genesis Y by borrowing a Zeth in the natural and then moving it in later on to see if the gate follow-up was continuing, and that's how he spotted 4-gate on that map. However, this is a case where he's already scouted 3-gate, and I don't know about this for sure. You can tell me more as a Protoss player these days. If you see 3-gate, do you always see a 4th gate pretty much? Like, it's kind of weird to go 3-gate that early and not have a 4th coming.
I mean, it's a question of what you like to do, right? I like to get a lattice in this situation because idols add a lot. Whether it's Quaz units, the idols are just constantly doing a lot of splash damage to them.
Yep.
Or, depending what else comes out, like, I feel like lattice always has an option that is helpful. The only thing that's truly just bad against is just pure Hydra. I feel like Hydras are good against every lattice unit. So I guess that's probably where I'd fall down, and Smarty might do better. If it goes into Hydra, then it's more of a liability, whereas one more gateway is just more Ecclesiast. Wow, he's got another Warden. And you know, Smarty's just all about these Ecclesiasts. I don't know if he's expecting like a big run by or what. I'm surprised he got that second Warden.
Yeah, that's a bit odd. However, there is an Ovaleth on the way. It doesn't have anything in it, and it probably won't have anything in it. We know Grass likes to scout. And I have to respect him for that. I mean, players need to scout more. Zerg has the tools for Ovaleth with no tech requirement. Obviously, got to go Embassy, which you might want anyway as Protoss. I know you are a fan of it, but You got to go to that for the Witness, and then Terran needs Anseal or Wraith or something like that to scout out, or of course the Watchdog scout. It just feels like players need to scout a little bit more often, and when you're more mechanically sound, as Grass, gets better as a mechanical player, and he just kind of scouts his opponent and knows what all of these things could mean. There's one thing to scout stuff if you don't know what the hell what is that structure even, or whatever. That can be a problem. But yeah, I don't know. It just waxing lyrical or philosophical about the.
Smarty's coming. The Vorf set up for a flank, by the way, which I question that. They kind of need to be more like the frontline unit. This army is very menacing. I don't know if if Garcia actually has enough. Well, maybe. That's 5 Vorfs. He needs to have the army together, though. Surrounds definitely have their place, but this is not really the time to split your army, I feel like.
Oh, and Smarty spots it, too. He's going to go for this. He knows that the choke, that's being set up. Grass is allowing it to happen. He was busy in the main setting stuff up.
Yeah, great micro by Smarty as well. Pulling those Zealots back just a little bit. He's decimating it, and Grassy lets it happen. He didn't pull them back at all. So, I mean, I feel like Smarty might be able to bust through the Zealots, which are perfect against Quaz. Quaz can hardly touch them with the Ecclesias. He can't really get in and focus down those Ecclesias in the back. Smarty reinforcing a little bit. He's got a couple more units coming across. It's looking very dangerous for Grassy. This might be the shortest game yet. Well, okay, we've got a bunch of Wolves coming up.
I don't know if it's enough. He made his Hydra's Den and immediately abandoned making anything out of it to go for the Zorkas. So he's really put himself in a tough spot. Big bank as well. Could have used a couple of extra hatches. Maybe could have used some Static D as an emergency. He's going to try to use the Vorps to rend the armor of the Zealot. That's going to help the Quas break through, but there's so many of them. Not to speak of the 12 Ecclesias that are in this battle.
There is no way. He was not prepared. Well, I mean, maybe he was sort of prepared.
He was prepared, just he unprepared himself after. It's like when you ready up in the game and then you take the ready tick off.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And now, yeah, I think it's over. The Hydralists, they're the unit you need, but not in small numbers. Ecclesias easily just like zap them. And yeah, I think it's over. Smarty gonna win.
Yeah, the easiest game of the group, and that's how Smarty qualifies to nowhere in particular, but gets the first place going. I'm used to saying qualifies if you win in your group. That is where we see. Yes, he qualifies to winning his group, and that puts Grass Eater in a 0-3 position. He absolutely needs to win not just one, but 2 more games to go in to secure second place. He could potentially do it versus Kenoli, but Kenoli does seem a little bit advantaged. And remember, he plied his trade as a Zerg sniper in the mirror matchup, so it's a bit of a tall order. But before we even talk about that, some congratulations are in order to Smarty conquering his Zerg demons from the past, where Jack was beating him and Kenoli was beating him, and now here he is. He's beaten Kenoli and Grass, and I guess I could have thrown Jack in here if they had the availability. That would have been a good move too, but not quite happening, and so he is able to do it. That last game did look pretty rough for Grass, but still, his early showing on Genesis Y, I thought that was much better, and he still has a chance here to do something in the group.
Yeah, well, I look forward to see that. So yeah, I guess we've got a Zerg vs. 6 series in our hands, you could say.
That's right. Yeah, basically they have to play a best of 3 now, and Kenoli's already up 1-0. So join us for that final game right after this. We are back at it. This could be the last game of the group. It's Grass Eater. In the bottom right is our eggshell blue Zerg. Classic color. Very, very nice. And Kenoli, the pumpkin Zerg in the top left. I don't think Grass does this. I think he just kind of lets it happen, but it would be really amusing to me if, he changes his color in the config deliberately and, relaunches the whole game just to be like, no, I'm going to be this color. Because, it aligns with his mood in a certain way. That's, he means business when he's eggshell blue because that's his color from way back. That's his color that he used to use all the time. I don't know. Just a random thought, but probably not true. And it looks like both of our players are going to avoid the temptation of the 6 pool. So we will not be seeing any super early things. But, Neblime, I'm going to ask you for your prediction. Is Kenoli winning this?
I think so. I mean, you said it yourself. He's got the title, the Zerg Sniper. It's nice that he has, a subtitle. He just seemed to have a much better handle on the match before. Even though he had questionable macro. I'm going to say very questionable macro. It didn't matter because he sort of had the initiative and the pressure and knew how to attack and win. So it makes you wonder, maybe he could even, fix the macro a little bit in this game and it'd just be even stronger. But who knows? Grassy, they might be able to adapt on the fly. We'll see what he's bringing. So far, the build's pretty much identical. When I say that, I mean Grassy just from the other game, not the 2 players, because clearly Kenoli's pulls a little later. We'll see. Getting that one more draw off out, I don't know, it could be a big deal.
Yeah, it could be. That's always an opportunity there because you think about the way that Kenoli likes to play. He needs every worker in the early game that he can get because oftentimes he's not making them later on. And the pool coming. Obviously a good opportunity here for Grass to maybe get a little bit of aggro later on. We praised him on Frosted Forest for getting some combat units out versus Kenoli a little bit more frequently. And yeah, since then, this is actually the first time we're seeing them duke it out again since then. I know it feels like we've seen lots of Grass and lots of Kenoli, but not together. Only that one time, and it was a contested game where if Kenoli hadn't been able to break through when he did, it did look like he was going to be behind. So have to see if Grass Eater can get himself into an advantaged position and hold it this time, or if Kenoli's just going to run away with it as it goes. Second Larvosk already on for Grass Eater in production there, or just about to be, as he's got the resources for it, and it's not anywhere in sight for Kenoli, so already pointing towards that larva management that you said Grass had a better grip on, it seems.
Yeah. I think Kenoli just really underestimates at all times how many larva production structures he needs, but hey, look at this Orchis coming up. Now, that's not always the most popular in ZBZ. But like I mentioned, the Kisslist can just sort of give you a free time to macro up a bit at the expense of your opponent having complete initiative and control over the match. Now, is he even going to go for the Kisslist? Looks like he's thinking Zoryus. That I'm not so sure about.
Yeah, he's pulled off all gas. He's only got 45 in the tank, which is perfectly not enough to afford anything.
You can get literally nothing with that because he doesn't have any tech, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say you could if he had a Hydra, then he could put down a single Hydra, but that's it. So. Avaleth is 50. He starts to harvest it a little bit again.
Core time. He's good enough.
You think so?
No. He better make Zoryus, honestly, with not having harvested gas the whole time.
And no mineral spending here. He's got so many.
It's more lavos. I like that. He definitely needs more lavos. Okay, so Zoryus aren't great versus Quaz. I mean, they're not terrible, and we're combined with other stuff. They're fine to tank, but they really are not going to be like just taking on the Quaz army. And they're like, aha, I have Zoryus now. You've been hard countered. You know, it's more like just, well, okay, you've invested all your minerals in this. Now, Grass Eater has really just invested not into military right now. He's getting his Hydrift Den up, and I think Hydras as well will do quite fine versus Zoryus. So we'll see. As long as he doesn't get caught with no military units, I think he'll be looking pretty good here. And a bunch of Quaz and Zephs coming up. Zephs are probably quite good against Zoryus if I think about it, because they don't have much DPS. Once the Rillarocos come out, I suppose they do, but they can easily be killed quickly as well.
Yep. Yeah, you know, I got to point out here that there's a third Larvos coming for Grass, so he's staying ahead of his opponent in terms of the unit production, but also as he gets ready to put down his Hatterosk, I will point out as well, he has clumped all of his Larvosks together. And that's something that I think, you know, a steady hand Zerg like Kenoli, who knows a lot about this matchup, he could just make a couple Gorgs and come in and kill them all in one fell swoop. So
that could be huge. Well, I think I see his concept here. I think he's going to like put some pressure on the Zoryus and allows him to be out on the map and like sort of trying to attack in. But then he can just go home and be safe behind like his lists. Because he knows even if his fight doesn't go well, he has what he needs. Ooh, a nice sort of semi-surround here. And the Quad's going to come in and start focusing on the Zoryus immediately. Needs to pull back a little bit, I feel like.
Oh, I love putting the Zets on the Quaz just to allow Grass Eater's own Quaz to slowly rip through the Zets, the Zoryus, rather. That's actually really big. I mean, for a fight that he was not advantaged in terms of the tech, he actually thins out the herd, and there's no DPS left with this army.
Yeah, and he will push this back pretty easily. Well, once he kills that Zoryus, which will go down, there it goes. And the two Hydras going to be enough, I think, to crush those Quads. This one goes down.
Yeah, he loses 2. He had 3, and that actually is maybe a little bit of a dicey move there, but...
Well, hang on, what does Kenoli have at home? He has money, is what he has.
He's got money. It's not turned into units yet.
Grass Eater not coming across just yet. He made a bunch of Zephs. He's going to send those low. Maybe he can run by. I mean, the Quaslers there will decimate them. And in fact, there's some in the main already. So Kenoli somehow has predicted that this is what's going to happen. Oh, hang on, he moves them down. Maybe they can run in. No, he's making
There's definitely something weird going on. 3 Ovaleths just hatched to sync up with the first one, really.
Ooh, he's going to drop them in the main. I love it, actually. Because he can pick off the Larvos easily, and potentially some workers as well. Kill the Zorkis with those Vorvs to do a tiny bit of shredding.
Yeah, actually, that's a fair point. You bring down the armor of the Zorkis, and it's only going to have 1 more than the Zeth armor pen natively, so...
Although he's not really making the move. I feel like the window's closing and so many quads get made. Oh my god.
He's also going to scout ahead with that, and he's going to see...
You can't fight this army with what you got. In fact, hang on a minute. Is Grassy just going to die? He doesn't have anything that can deal with those quads. Let alone the Lakislas backing them up. Here was me saying like, oh yeah, you know, Zorkis in ZBZ, it's a defensive option. You're going to be sitting back and your opponent doing whatever they like. But Kenoli's like, what are you talking about? You make the Zorkis units, then you go across the map and kill your opponent.
Apparently, yeah. And there's no static defense coming up over here. I don't know what those Ovoleths are for. Nothing in them.
Maybe a misclick?
Maybe that might have been a misbuy that he only found out about later. Maybe he wanted to make quas. It's on the same part of the grid.
Oh my god, these Lacizlas just walking right on in. Is anything going to stop them? Okay, they do get turned back. There's no time
there's the
for
run by.
Circus, though. Yeah, okay. That could do big damage. So, even though Kenoli's army looks completely dominating, he might be in a bit of a base race situation here. What's popping out for him? A bunch of quads. Actually, that will be fine. So, he's going to do some damage in the natural, but meanwhile, Grass Eater's whole natural is probably going to get taken out here. What military units does he have? What was he making? He's got a couple naps hanging around.
He's got 6 Hydras about to hatch. I don't think that's really going to help him out too much. He's going to fall away from the quads that hatched in Kenoli's main, and that's going to be an opportunity for him to at least kill another Circuith. But he's not really going to be doing too much other damage, and now Grass Eater... Oh, yeah, only naps and Hydras. I don't think that's going to be enough. Now, a lot of the quads DPS going on to eggs, not what you want to be focusing down. And then the Nats dive onto the Lycizilisk. Well, he's going to pop one of them, maybe? No, not quite. It's got 5 health.
Oh my god, decimation. Those Hydras get hit by the spines as well. Well, the natural's definitely going down. A lot of Hydras on the ramp, though, now. He could probably hold. Oh, he's going to get one of those Lycizilisk. Nice move there. Getting some spine hits, though.
He needs the detection, and the Ovoleth was pushed back by the quads, so Grass Eater not pulling his micro there.
You can only have so many reinforcements. If he sent them across, this would be over. In fact, he could get tier 2 right now.
Yes, well, that does frequently happen to Kenoli, and he will put down the Iral Iris.
Oh, good, good. Well, at least he did get it.
He's actually going to fall back here. He doesn't realize how much of an advantage position he might have been in there. Abandons the ground.
I don't think he can bust, for sure. The Hydras will hold the ramp, but he could definitely have maintained the contain. But he's looking pretty good. He's still got his natural up, and hey, he's got tier 2 on the way. I'm trying to think, what do you make if you have, like, no money, but you're like, I've got tier 2, how am I going to, like, instantly win? Well, I mean, Ultra Cores still seem attractive. He's already got the Zorkis, so he could easily get the Ultrav.
Yeah, that's pretty much... You're thinking about what you can upgrade without making structure.
Yeah, that's right. And not a lot of gas either for Ultra Cores. A bunch of Zero Cores come out. Well, there is a lot of Cores stuff here, so those Zero Cores may pay off. But how are you going to deal with those Lycizilisks? Careful now. Oh, he's walking right into the killing field. Can he get on top? Well, I mean, he gets on top of the quads, but that's just doing damage to his own army, and he loses all these Zero Cores just like that. Push back across the bridge. Very brazen move to try and force that bridge at this moment. Not really sure what he was thinking there. Will we see the Ultrav? No, we see a Calcea Lake. Also makes sense, I guess, because like you say, you don't have to build another structure. Like, Lyra is pretty cheap, I suppose, when you look at how many quads lists he has, and they will sort of just add enough oomph to punch through, I expect. Grass Eater still hasn't remade this natural somehow. This Droller's been sitting here for a long time. He's going
falls
home.
Away. Yeah, he's like, no, I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to move my Hydras across the map, and I'm going to see what I can make happen.
Well,
the desperate move. Desperate move.
Another backstab could get mileage, and maybe he just holds his ramp again. I don't know.
Well, he could also walk into the enemy base and kill him there because Kenoli doesn't have much at home. But he's actually going to try to go for the attack move here, and it's Quaz versus Hydras. Some more coming over here. He might try to pounce on the Lycizilisks that are burrowed, but he doesn't quite see them. Now he's going to go after it.
Could have fought that, you know. But now he's going to lose his Lycizilisk. So it's a move for Grass Eater for sure. You have to
that is entirely an aura move. There was no reason for Kenoli to fall back there. I think he just thought, oh man, I've been outmaneuvered, and yet instead it's just a couple Hydras. There wasn't really that much there. Grass Eater now going to go for the hatch. Looks like a third base was being made by Kenoli. He's still barely harvesting from his natural. Now he's going to get them set up, and yeah, making 13 Lyrilisks as the Hydras move across the bridge.
Just at the wrong time. No, they're going for the army again. Oh, no. They're going to go for the workers. They could do insane damage here by the time the Corsairs catch up. They could kill a lot of Drolefs. And they're going to go for it. He needs to keep stutter stepping in, though. He does not want to turn and fight the army, and that's exactly what he's doing. He could completely reset Kenoli's economy here. The Lyrilisks are done, but they're trapped behind their slower...
He's going to try to use the range.
Oh my God.
Look at that.
Decimating this army, but he does need to keep moving in because they will catch up. Oh, and the Zevs hatch for a nice flank. Actually, that will clean this up. Very nice move by Kenoli to morph those. And I think the damage is over. I really think, even though it looked like a good engagement for a moment, he would have been better off continuing in and trying to kill all the Drolef. But nice try by Grass Eater for sure. He made the most out of it, but he still hasn't got his natural.
Nope, no natural for him. He's artificial grass.
Yeah,
the artificial lawn. And you know, I mean, listen, the Lyrilisk versus Iziricor fight is kind of a funny one, but I don't think the Iziricors are going to hold on. I think we might be nearing the end of the game, and bit anticlimactic. Now he's going to make a lot of Hydras off of this one base, but he will deplete eventually.
Well, I mean, I don't know. These Iziricors can actually get in here and crush this. Where's the rest of the army? There it is. It comes down. Now they're surrounded.
You want to avoid attacking into the Lyrilisks actually because they have more armor and more durability. You want to go for how much damage can you do to like the Quas and the Zeths. Those are the targets that are squishier for the Izzies to fight. But I love that he's burrowed his Drilleth here just to remind himself later. Maybe I should try to take that.
One of these days, he can dream. Is he depleted yet? Not quite, but it's not long.
Yeah, he's only going to be mining for a little bit.
I don't know
longer.
which is worse. Grass Eater can, like, has been saving up for 40 years to try and get his natural, but his mortgage payment's just too high. But meanwhile, Kenoli's sitting here, like, had over 1,000 minerals and gas a second ago. Like,
yeah.
Both of these players not really.
Oh, man, that's so risky. Grass could just walk in an A move and clear out a lot of these forces because so many of them are morphing. But he's going to do it a little bit late.
No, they're going to hatch at just the wrong time.
I know.
And now he's caught.
Yeah, you gotta have the detection there to see the progress bar. That's my view of things.
Yeah, they do so much damage. Look at that. Oh, he could have got in there, man. Well, I guess they're pretty squishy. Hang on, they have more health than a Hydralisk. Oh no, that's just 95 in Cosmonarchy.
Yeah. Well, I just think the way that the Lyrilisк works, you still want to go for it in that kind of situation.
Oh yeah, you could have killed that for sure. Now the natural is on the way. Kenoli's time is limited. Once this natural finishes, the economy should be way too strong. Gonna go up to 64 draw left himself with his third base there. Does need to send some across, and he is doing that. What's he doing with all these resources, man? Don't tell me he's gonna go tier 3.
He's pretty close to being able to afford it. Just needs about 250 more Vespene, and then he'll be able to drop it in. And he's not spending it on anything. Yeah, he's going to spend it on Zoryus to get his minerals down, but he will 1,000% be going for that tier 3.
Oh my god.
Saturating the gas in the third, double geyser, yep, and then he's going to go for it. He's got a Droleth up there at 12 o'clock as well. Only needs 900 minerals to afford tier 3. And he's fast
this is
climbing
almost
towards
like
it.
a sort of punishment he's going to inflict on Grass Eater. Well, hang on a minute. Grass Eater's going to come out now, though. And once again, intimidating with Hydras. Nobody has to fall back this time. Where's that flanking force? Oh, it's a run-by force. Well, I don't know, man. What if he just runs in and kills the Aral Iris? Then all his investment is gone. He's got so much money again. Really needs to use that for something. He's running past the Zoryus, but he thinks, hang on a minute, I can kill these. But there are a lot of them.
Lyrilisks are on the way back because this force could actually overpower the Zoryus, believe it or not. But no, it's gonna go ahead and...
The wall of Zoryus there, but they do... Oh, almost... No, they're screwed.
Yeah, he's just going to go after a couple of workers, force a drill out. He doesn't kill a single one.
Oh, that's a really cool corpse. I'm like, hang on, isn't that a draw of corpse? But no. Does clean up, but it's a nice distraction, I suppose. I would say normally it only costs minerals, but I mean, Grass Eater's economy is very poor with his natural energy just finishing. That he can't even really afford to throw those minerals away. Oswald Overform finally starts morphing. It could have morphed quite a bit earlier.
He's got so much money still, even... Oh, yeah, that's
but he still doesn't want to spend it. No. You don't spend your money in Brood War. He's going to instead use the free unit. I mean, I was thinking about this as a strategy, right? You get a bunch of Zoryus, and then you just keep, like, reinforcing with Rillarocors. But when you have 3,000 minerals, there's probably more effective units you can make. I don't know, especially when you got tier 2.
It must be said at this point that I think, with the Skiback Scab coming for Grass Eater, he's only now getting a tier 1.5 structure versus a tier 3 about to pop. And Kenoli has not really leveraged his tier 2 whatsoever. This does look like a very silly game. And I don't know if Kenoli is like playing with his food or if he's actually been intimidated all these times by Grass just sort of auraing him with the Hydras. And they're pretty intimidating units, so...
What's the weakest tier 3 unit you could possibly make where it's like, you make the one unit that Grass Eater can kill?
I don't know. I think even a Mortothricor would be pretty good, so... compared to what he's got.
What do you mean? It's just a good unit.
Gitoricor would kill him too, it's just like there's not really...
Look at his main, man. Like, it's undefended. I'd love to see the Gitoricors get in and just eat that. Akistricors, not very good against Hydras, I don't think.
Yeah, but they would still infest all the static defense, and so I don't know. Like,
claim Grass Eater's main for himself.
Yeah. Maybe we can have a mirror that goes all the way to tier 3 for both players, and then they both infest each other's mains, and...
They swap. He's still making Rillarocors. What is he saving this money for? We got to see what he's going to make.
I think at this point it's become deranged. Yeah, there's he's babying the Rillarocors.
No. Okay, they're fine. I thought
a couple of them do pop. Yeah, they get a little too excited.
They're leaving all the babies behind. Okay, no, they're catching up, sort of.
No, the rest of them are gonna die. That's 30 Rillarocors. You can't just leave your children like this. They're all dead.
All right, once again, he's getting the access. I knew it. I freaking called it in the Gastalos. He's going to get Exitralis. He's going to get the most try hard, like straight up option when he's got this much money in his far ahead. I can't believe it.
The
He's not
Bactyl
even
count
running
is
gas
pretty
for
respectable
Bactyl.
for Grass, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
he's got
I
a
mean,
decent
that's
defense.
good against Excitrix because the bouncers will hit the regressed ones. You don't have to target them; they will just naturally die. And I don't think he can break this. Then again, he's getting on top.
There's so many lines of Bactyls behind it, though. I don't think that's going to matter. The Zets even come in. Now, the big attack is going to come in from the bridge, which has now been abandoned by the few Zets that were guarding it. 21 more Tatra cores on the way for Kenoli. He's going to go the way that I said, and he's going to just let a lifesteal him down with tier 3 units. But even still, the Khazitra helping out over here, as you mentioned, in the natural. And, those Bactyls need to hightail it over. They're taking their sweet time moving over.
Yeah, I mean, the Khazitra still got good mileage. They got a lot of damage out before all that stuff got torn down. But yeah, he smartly pulled his workers away already, by the way, so Lyralists won't decimate those. So nice move, but can he even stop them from running in? There's a bunch of Hydras up here, actually. So yeah, I guess he'll hold, but will he lose his Hatteros?
Not again. He only just set up a third base.
That's right. He had to save up for so long for that.
He says hash. I think this is an obs hash, if I remember correctly.
Hash ID 0.
Kenoli actually did. Kenoli desynced. I don't think it matters, boys. I think the more Tatra cores are coming.
Yeah, the game may well be about to end, because here they come. I would love to see a lot of Zeph spam with this, but he's making it. He says, he says. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, it is indeed over. I want to see them get their attack speed, though. Let them do it. Yes, here we go.
Yeah, their lifesteal. They still aren't dying, by the way. One of them finally goes down. Well, R.I.P. He says GG.
It's like the worst possible engagement for him. But
I know, yeah, and they're still performing. Well, that's tier 3 Zerg for you, and I guess, that's pretty much it. Kenoli will be our second place in the group. And, Grass Eater, despite how deranged that game actually went, still a pretty strong showing for him. He's probably not going to feel that way because he lost every game, but yeah, he was pretty competitive with Smarty on Genesis Y. Obviously got bulldozed by him in the second matchup, but both of the games versus Kenoli, one of them, Frosted Forest, he actually gets ahead and then just gets broken by smart play. The other one, he clung on as long as he could, as long as he could. I got to share you a secret, Neblime. As we were getting into this lobby, I did take a little look at the length of the replay, or at least the file size of the replay. And just based on the file size, I can estimate that the length is probably going to be a bit of the longer side. And it sure was. It sure was. But I thought that meant it was a banger. I did not think that meant it was absolutely slapstick. So I got owned by that prediction to myself.
Yeah, that sure was something. But hey, I said at least, I think you agreed that Kenoli was favored. So, that was true, just not the way you expected. That's the kind of thing where it's like, well, yes, I predicted he would win, but I feel like I still didn't predict correctly.
Correct, yes. I don't know if we can count that as a Kenoli W. That might just be a rest of us L, but, that's all right. That's all right. Kenoli does eventually make it happen. And, okay, with all that said, Grass Eater... Yeah, okay, he doesn't, there was no way he was going to ascend to Class 2 off of this anyway, but he makes a convincing argument for himself as Class 3. The cops are even after him, and, that's a big rip on the audio. Sorry about that, guys. But I just want to say that I think Grass actually did impress me versus these players. I think that overall, it's a cool sight to see. Obviously, newer players like him. Kenoli's been around a lot. SmrtyCakes has been around even longer. So to see him hang with these people and at least in some of the games, look fairly competitive, like he could have potentially at least won. He got to an advantage position. You can't think of progress in RTS as just did I win or not. I know this is something that some of our younger players and our more antsier players struggle with. It's not improvement because you won. It's improvement because, you might have gotten up against a better player, an advantaged position where you could have won had you known what you were doing. If you can do that more reliably, that is the stepping stone to victory. It's not just what your score line looks like at the end of a tournament showing. So hopefully that's a little bit of motivation for Grass and anybody else who's listening who maybe didn't get enough dubs for them to feel happy. Loses improve, right?
Yeah. I think it's very accurate what you say, by the way, about Grass Eater specifically, even that you can look at it and there's a lot of things to say, like, oh, well, what he's doing makes a lot of sense, and on paper, he has these advantages, but that's where, no plan survives contact with the enemy. Mm-hmm. And even you do learn a lot more in tournament games and practice games as well, because people have a very different attitude about things, even not deliberately, but just when you're coming in trying to win, yes, you do play differently.
Yep. there's always the like the argument of like people want to rise to the level of their potential, but really they fall to the level of their preparation, and that does happen a lot. You know, that's like another truism that gets exchanged in a lot of these sort of improvement circles, and especially when you're talking about a performance, like you know you're going on stage, or in this case you're just playing in a tournament game. Now these guys had the benefit of knowing this wasn't being live streamed. That is a different kind of pressure, I think. But still, they knew that there is stakes here. You know, first place gets prize money, that kind of thing. And so, hey, yeah, Kenoli and Grass, the prize money eluded them this time, but they got to show their stuff. And Kenoli is the second place in the group. Congrats to him. And good showing all around. Thanks, Neblime, for joining me. Do you have any wrap-up thoughts on the group, or is that pretty much where we can leave it?
No, I think that's it.
There we go. Zerg showings galore, but SmrtyCakes reigns supreme. GG's. We'll be back tomorrow for more Cosmonarchy.